Hey, what's going on YouTube? What's going on, Raider Nation? It is your boy Ash right here coming to you guys with a late live stream. I know I should be asleep right now, but yeah, and also too, I have fucking work in like the next 8 hours or so, so I really should be asleep. And granted, too, I'm also working like a double shift tomorrow on both jobs. That's why I've been so busy. And also too, if you guys don't know by now, like I just really don't make fucking videos, at least on like a weekly basis or even a monthly basis. Like you might see me once in a blue moon type shit. So um I just wanted to come on live here and just talk about the season coming up. Um, I know we got what's good, Matthew. I know we got a couple weeks left of the preseason, or actually, no, this is the last week of the preseason. We still got a couple more weeks left in camp. I kind of wanted to just, talk a little bit about my thoughts on the Raiders this upcoming season, how they've been looking at camp, what to look out for, what to expect, um, the whole shebang, So, yeah, like heading into the off season, obviously we had a lot of, things we needed to clean up. We had a lot of holes on this roster. There was a lot of unanswered, questions on which direction we are going to head in, as far as coaching staff and the general manager and quarterback, this, that, and the third. And I mean, if you were to tell me that our head coach was Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, John Spytek, who came from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, um, I would have told and drafted Ashton Genty as well with our first round pick. I would have told you that's a pretty successful offseason, and the Raiders went out and did that. Now I'm not gonna lie. In the beginning of this coaching search, I knew deep down we weren't going to end up getting Ben Johnson, but there were obviously hella rumors that we were going to get Ben Johnson. That was my number one target heading in the offseason. I said, you know what? Okay, if we're gonna fire Antonio Pierce, Ben Johnson's going to be the next best candidate possible. And through reports, the Raiders did try to get him, and obviously it didn't work out in our favor. Um, and I have nothing against Pete Carroll. I definitely do like Pete Carroll. I definitely do respect what Pete Carroll has done as a head coach. He is definitely a Hall of Fame head coach. Respect what he did in Seattle and whatnot. It's just my thing is that, I mean, age, man, age. I mean, I know they say age is a number, but it's still there, right? But I'll tell you what, man, for a guy who's 73 years old, Pete Carroll sure as hell doesn't look like it, man. He sure as hell does not look like he's 75 years old. Um, and the Raiders gave him like a 3-4 year contract. And I do believe Pete Carroll is going to like play out that whole contract. I really do. I do think the Raiders in the next 2 to 3 years or so under Pete Carroll, his regime, we are going to be a team that's going to be competitive. We are going to be a team that really no one wants to play at the end of the day on a week to week basis. Like, do we have the best team in the NFL? No. Do we have the best quarterback in the NFL? No. Do we have the best offense or defense in the NFL? No. But at the end of the day, all that we can hope for, Raider Nation, is that this team is going to compete, and I believe they will compete. And like I said, like my expectations over the years with the Raiders, like most fans, has always been kind of low. Like I know what to expect from the Raiders each and every year. I usually say somewhere around like we get like I usually say like we'll probably get somewhere in between like 6 to 8 wins, 9 wins if we're lucky and whatnot. And I still kind of feel the same way heading into this season, but I do feel like I feel more confident than years prior that like, oh yeah, for sure we're going to be competitive, and for sure we're going to win this amount of games, and for sure we're going put up a fight in the AFC West. Now obviously I don't believe we're going to win the AFC West. I don't even believe we're the second best team in the AFC West right now, as of right now. Um, but like I said from before, we're going to compete. You know, Geno Smith is one of four quarterbacks in the last 3 years to have not only 20 plus passing touchdowns, but to have a winning season in Seattle. And remember, his last year in Seattle, he won 10 games with the rookie head coach and Mike McDonald. So that should tell you alone that Geno Smith is going to compete, that Pete Carroll is going to compete, and that this team is going to compete. Now, when I look at this roster as a whole, and it shows in camp, there are a lot of question marks at some certain position groups. There are a lot of position question marks when it comes to our offensive line, especially on the interior. Like I don't understand why we do not have Jackson Powers at center. Jackson Powers Johnson, the promising rookie that we had from last year out of Oregon. I don't get that at all. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not the head coach. I'm not the one calling the shots. And we're just gonna have to, see how it is when it comes to real games, if that is going to be, the starting five as far as the offensive line moving forward. But I'll tell you what though, if it does, turn into shit, I'll be the first one to call it out. I'll be the first one to call it out. And that's nothing against Jordan Meredith, I believe, who is the starting center. But I just think Jackson Powers Johnson's the better investment at center. I know he can play guard as well. He's versatile. That's why, he was highly thought of in that 2024 draft. In my opinion, I thought he should have been a first runner. I don't know how he got slipped in the second round. But regardless, we got him. He's on our team. We got him in the second round. He's on our team. So we'll just have to see. But there are questions there. There are questions in the offensive line, really the interior, like we know what we're going to get out of Colton Miller, but then when you look at the rest of the offensive line, DJ Glaze, he showed some promise last year, but he gave up like 51 pressures or whatever. Not so great. Gave up 3 sacks, but over 50 pressures, not so great. You got Dylan Parham in a contract year. His first 3 years, he's shown flashes, but he's also been inconsistent. Jackson Powers Johnson, I like the guy, but he was a penalty machine last year. He's got to clean up on the penalties. Alex Kappa, didn't mind the Alex Kappa signing, but I could also understand why Raider fans didn't like the signing because he won the Triple Crown, but in a bad way. Gave up the most pressures, most sacks, most hurries by a guard in all the NFL. But I also think, too, that I think it's just an anomaly. It's just like, as much as I love Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, right? He holds onto the ball for way too long. Okay, I love Joe Burrow to death, but how many times is Cincinnati going to have so many of these offensive changes? That is the Burrow's Achilles heel. I know. I'm a big Joe Burrow fan. I love Joe Burrow, but my God, he holds onto the ball for way too fucking long. And he is a good improviser, but at the end of the day, it ends up hurting him more than helping. Shit, you saw it. If you guys have been paying attention to preseason, look at that play that he made against the fucking Commanders, bro, where he's just like improvising, just fucking around with the football. And at this point, you're just hoping that he just throws it, doesn't do anything stupid, and he just falls down, takes a sack. So is that more of Alex Kappa, or is that more of fucking Joe Burrow just holding onto the ball for way too long? Again, I love Joe Burrow. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks, one of my favorite players in football. In fact, I think he is my favorite quarterback in football. I really do. I love Joe Burrow. I think, the dude is a stud and he's got an aura about him and whatnot. But you can talk shit about Alex Kappa all you want, but you got to watch the film too when it comes to, the Bengals, bro. Burrow be holding on to the ball for way too long at times. But anyways, back to what I was saying before, offensive line. Secondary has been taking a big hit, especially since we traded Ja'Cory and Ben, which is just a total head scratcher, man. Like, I still don't understand that trade, especially when, granted, he only played like 8 or 9 games last year, but Ja'Cory Bennett was our best corner last year. He was one of the few corners of football that actually locked down Jamar Chase, who won the Triple Crown last year. And he showed on a week-to-week basis, that he was just making plays, not only making plays, but his confidence level grew. And he's with the Eagles now, and the Eagles already have really good corners. They got themselves a Cooper DeJean, a Quentin Mitchell, and now you're adding in Ja'Cory and Bennett to the mix. And the player that we got in return, Thomas Booker, he showed some promise in camp, and I get why the Raiders, I don't get why we traded Ben, but I get why they wanted to get someone like Thomas Booker on the team, especially with the Christian Wilkins incident that I'll get to in just a moment. But did you really have to trade Bennett though? And you look at the other corners that we have on our team. I mean, Eric Stokes. A lot of Raider fans are already complaining about Eric Stokes. And here's my thing about Eric Stokes, right? We got him on a 1-year deal. I get he's been struggling, Cam. I get, he hasn't really, panned out so far, but a lot of Raider fans I've been hearing are already giving up on him and that he's trash and whatnot. My thing is this: can we give him until like week 5 or week 6? First of all, this is a new team he's on. Second, like, we're 2 preseason games in. We're not even in the regular season. So let's give the kid some time. And plus, like, he's missed a lot of football the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, coming out of Georgia, he was a highly thought of prospect. And then he had a solid rookie year. And in the last 2 to 3 years, he's just been banging up with injury. So let's not jump the gun on Eric Stokes. Let's see what we have out of Eric Stokes and see what we have out of the other corners too. Like, Decarian Richardson, Darnay Holmes, Decarian Richardson, I mean, I'm hoping he can take that next big step in year 2, from year 1 to year 2, kind of like with Bennett, where like Bennett took like a big jump from year 1 to year 2. I'm hoping the same thing with Decarian Richardson and then Darnay Holmes. I mean, he's been a Patrick Graham guy, so he knows the system and whatnot. So we'll see with him. But really, when you look at the secondary Raider Nation, I mean, even when Bennett was on the team, a lot of Raider fans were complaining on PFF that, why are the Raiders the worst secondary in football? And also, too, I forgot about Darian Porter as well. I forgot about Darian Porter that we picked up the round, who I really like. I think he's going to be a solid player for us. But again, there's a reason why the Raiders were 32nd in PFF when it comes to that positional group. And I'm not just talking about our corners. I'm talking about our secondary in general. That includes our safeties as well. A lot of unproven players. A lot of players that just have a lot to prove. The only player that we know that is established and we know that we're going to get good production out of is Jeremy Chinn. Jeremy Chinn, I think, is a solid player. I thought we got a good deal for Jeremy Chinn for cheap. I thought he was a good replacement for Moehrig, even though he plays strong safety and Moehrig plays free safety. And it's no offense to my boy CBG. If you're watching CBG or if you come across this later, I just think the Panthers overpaid for fucking Trayvon Moehrig. I think he's a good player, but there's no way I'm paying him fucking Minkah Fitzpatrick money. Like, he's not better than a Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's not better than a Derwin James. He's not better than an Antoine Winfield, a Budda Baker. I'm sorry. We've seen fucking Trayvon Moehrig for 4 years. His first 2 years didn't really show much. In 2023, he was a solid player. In 2024, again, a solid player. But in those 4 years, he was never thought of to me as like a all-pro player. Like, at best, he was a borderline top 10 safety. And I get it. He's still young and, maybe he still has room to grow. Maybe he could still reach his peak. But I mean, I'm not going to pay him all that money at the end of the day, knowing that there were other better value options there. Like, it's like, you got to remember too, Raider Nation, you got to look at our roster and consider how many holes that we have on this roster. Still, like, corners is a weakness. Our interior offensive line is questionable and it's a borderline weakness, right? Our wide receiving depth is kind of a weakness, although I do like our wide receiving depth. And that's another thing. I totally get why ESPN had us as the worst ranked secondary group. I don't believe that with wide receiver because, like, they said we had the worst receiving corps in the NFL. I don't believe that not one bit because you got Jakobi Meyers. We know who Jakobi Meyers is. He had over 1,000 yards despite having below average quarterback play this year. Jakobi Meyers is a true team player that it will get you a lot of good production, and he's a true team player. And he's selfless, and he'll do whatever it takes to win. I do think Trey Tucker is going to take that next step. You look at his stats from year 1 to year 2. He's improving. He's growing. And I think him and Gino are going to have a really good connection this year. I do like Jack Besh. I do like him. I think he's going to have a big chip on his shoulder, and he brings a lot of physicality and whatnot. And the one thing that he needs to really work on is creating more separation. But other than that, the guy, he's got great hands. He can run routes very well. He could be a force in the red zone. Um, I think he could be a really good player for us. And he looks like a guy that he's hard to bring down. Like he literally looks like this is gonna sound weird, pause, but he literally looks like Brock Bowers, like as far as body type goes. I know that sounded gay as fuck just now, but just yeah. And then Dante Thornton. I mean, this guy's Dante Thornton. We might have just. I'm not gonna jump the gun yet, obviously, but fuck, man, we might have struck gold on finding maybe another DK Metcalf. This dude is 6'5" and runs a 4.3, and he still somehow got him in the fifth round. He led the FBS for big time plays last year. He's not a guy that's going to get you a bunch of catches, but I mean, Gino, who is one of the better quarterbacks. I mean, you can even look it up when it comes to PFF and whatnot, and from the statistical standpoint, he is one of the better deep throwers of the football, and he's got to get the ball to Dante Thornton. So you have like four receivers that I think are going to be very reliable, are going to really help out this offense under Chip Kelly, which I was very skeptical when we hired Chip Kelly, and I still kind of am. But I mean, when I watch these offenses the last couple games, it's like, okay, you know what? Maybe Chip Kelly has changed his philosophy a little bit to more of the modern style of the NFL. I mean, I was a little bit, I mean, yeah, like, I'm not taking away anything from him when it came to Ohio State. But at the same time, too, it's kind of hard to evaluate that when they had a $20 million roster and Jeremiah Smith might be the best player in college football. And they had some other really good players as well on offense at Ohio State. But look, so far, this shows a lot of promise. And what my expectation is for the Raiders this year offensively is that I do think this offense is going to be very productive. I do think we are going to be much better, much better than what we were last year, especially considering the fact that Ashton Jeanty's on our team now. We got another year of Brock Bowers. Jakobi Meyers is still Jakobi Meyers. You still got Michael Mayer. I still think he has a lot to prove. And that's going to be key and focal heading into this season, is that there's going to be some guys on this offense that need to step up. Michael Mayer, he needs to step up. Trey Tucker, I need him to take that big step. We know what we're going to be getting out of Jakobi Meyers. We know what we're going to get out of Brock Bowers. I do believe in Ashton Jeanty. I do think Ashton Jeanty is going to be a good running back. But the problem is that in that first game against Seattle, I mean, it's not on him. I'm not going to put it on him. When you look at that offensive line, boy, was it bad. But it did improve the very next week, thank God. But we just got to be able to be more consistent when it comes to offensive line. Like, look, I know our offensive line is going to have problems every once in a while. It's not a perfect offensive line. I get that. It's like, but as long as this offensive line could be serviceable, as long as you can give Gino time, create holes for Ashton Jeanty, just be able to just, again, give Gino time, And with Jeanty, at the end of the day, is that like he has a great enough vision and patience to where, as long as you're able to, open up blocks for Jeanty, he will find that hole. I'm so sick and tired of this fucking, he's the next Trent Richardson. You have no idea what you're fucking talking about. Shut the fuck up. Ashton Jeanty, at the end of the day, like, the dude is the whole package. And really, like, the only thing that I'm concerned about him is how we're going to use him, and the fact that he is a running back, and running backs don't last that long. But I do think that Ashton Jeanty has a bright future ahead of him. I really do. And I think he's going to kill it for us, man. And I'm glad he's a Raider. So I think our offense is going to be somewhere in the range of like a borderline top 10 to top 15. We are going to be a very productive offense. We are going to score a lot of points. We are going to be in some games where it's going to be shootouts. And the reason why we're going to be in shootouts is because when you look at this defense as a whole, Raider Nation, um, granted, Patrick Graham, another year of him calling plays. Now there will be players on this team that you don't really think much of that are gonna like raise eyebrows and surprise you. I can't definitively tell you who those players are going to be, but there's going to be it's every year with Patrick Graham. There's going to be about 2 to 3 players that you're going to look at and be like, oh shit, I did not expect this from this player. Last year, we got that from Chase On. The year before that, we got that from Adam Butler and fucking Robert Spillane. There's going to be some players on this team that you look at and think, holy shit, like I did not expect him to like play this well and be this productive in Patrick Graham's defense. So, but when you look at this defense right now, it's a lot of, just question marks. I do like our front seven. I do. Granted, we did lose a couple pieces, right? We did lose Christian Wilkins. We did lose fucking Robert Spillane. Um, I'm more so upset about us losing Robert Spillane. Out of all the players we let walk, like I didn't mind letting Nate Hobbs walk, especially considering the fact that he got way too much money. He got way too much money, considering the fact that he's a cornerback 3, maybe a cornerback 2 at best, right? And he's a nickel corner. Like that's all that he ever will be. We tried him on the outside. It just he's not that guy. He's more of an inside type of force. And I was not going to pay him that much. And then Morik, same thing. Spillane, though, kind of hit different because the 2 years that he was here, I mean, he showed great leadership and he was very, very, very underrated for our defense. I mean, he's still, a lot of people don't really appreciate Robert Spillane in the NFL world. And, he was a big reason why our defense was top 10 back in 2023. I do believe that. He should have been a Pro Bowler. It hurt not bringing him back, but I will say, I do like our linebacking core as a whole. You bring in Jermaine Pratt, who's coming off a career year, off of a 1-year prove-it deal. You bring in Elandon Roberts, who I like. He's a really good coverage linebacker. He's really good off ball, and I do think I do think there's going to be a lot of resemblance from him, like with Spillane. I do think that there could be like a similar type of like resurgence that kind of like Robert Spillane had in with the Raiders, even though Elandon Roberts has been more established in the NFL than Robert Spillane. Robert Spillane, the last 2 years he's been really good, but before that he was kind of just like considered like a backup linebacker at best, a special teams player. But now he's a starting linebacker that got paid a big contract and is arguably one of the better linebackers in the NFL, right? And I do think Elandon Roberts brings in a lot of experience, leadership. Pratt, same thing. I'm still on the Devin White hype train. I do think if there's one player that could raise a lot of eyebrows and surprise people, I think that could be Devin White. I really do like Devin White a lot. I think he's a really good player. Yes, he's struggled the past few years, but you also remember too, he's been hurt. Some other things happen. So, and then recently we just brought in Jamal Adams, and he's gonna be that box safety type of player. Like he's gonna be playing in the box. He's gonna be like a hybrid when it comes to linebacker and safety, kind of like a Jonathan Abram in a way. And I don't mind that whatsoever because, I mean, Abram, he can bring the boom, like literally. So we'll see and he has a great connection, obviously, with Pete Carroll. And I do think when it comes to Patrick Graham's system, especially when it comes to that cover zero blitz, he's going to be a guy that's going to, come at full force and make plays, right? Defensive line, you got Malcolm Koonce healthy. Haven't really heard much of him at camp. Remember, he is coming off a knee injury, but we need him to have a big year this year at the same time, too. We need him to be very productive. We need him to be the Malcolm Koonce that he was in the second half of the season back in 2023, where he was like dominant, almost as dominant as Max Crosby. And then obviously you got Max Crosby. Hearing really good things out of Tyree Wilson. And I watched that last game against the Niners. Tyree Wilson looks like a different player. And I've been trying to tell you guys, look, I get it. It's preseason. We got to see it at full force regular season. I'm gonna die on that hill and still say that I'm still a believer in Tyree Wilson, but at the same time too, this is a make or break year for Tyree Wilson. If Tyree Wilson does not get at least like 7 or 8 sacks this year, I'm just done with them at that point, you know. But I do believe that this is going to be a year where he's going to be very productive. It's this year, and then you got Adam Butler and you got Max Crosby, you know. But then you don't really have that much else when it comes to depth. You know what I mean? You got Tyree Wilson, you got Adam Butler, you got Max Crosby, Malcolm Coons. But then after that, I mean, you know, you really don't have that much else. You got this Lau guy who showed some flashes late in the year last year. You drafted 2 guys in the draft in JJ Pegues, I think his name is, and then I forgot the other player's name. Um, and yeah, like, you know, just and then Charles Snowden, you know, he made one great play last year, but other than that, he's been mostly like whatever. Like he's just like a rotational player at this point on our defensive line. So I think when it comes to our starting 4, if our starting 4 is going to look like is going to be like this when it comes to Malcolm Kuntz, Adam Butler, Tyree Wilson, Max Crosby, I think that's a good starting 4. The depth though does scare me. Linebackers, I do like our linebackers. I think we're solid there. Um, Secondary is a big concern. I can't lie. So, but I know the thing is that Pete Carroll, you know, like, oh, you gotta trust Pete Carroll. He built the Legion of Boom, but that was more than 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And I mean, you know, like I said, you know, it's just I don't know. Like, can history repeat itself? Always, yes, but you're asking a lot from Pete to like make the secondary like a force to be reckoned with, to make it a Legion of Boom 2.0, which that is not going to happen overnight. Okay, this secondary is going to have problems. That like get with reality, Raider Nation. This secondary is going to have problems. This defense is going to have some growing pains. Hell, even this offense is going to have growing pains. This team overall is going to have some growing pains. This is year 1 of yet another regime. We will be competitive. I think this team. I see this team having the vibes of kind of like the 2015 Raiders. Now, I've been a Raiders fan for almost 20 years, so I know what I'm talking about when I say the 2015 Raiders. That 2015 Raiders team was competitive. They were coming off a bad year, and that team ended up winning 7 or 8 games that year, was even competing for a playoff spot for a little bit, and ended up missing playoffs next year. They made some additions to free agency, ended up making the playoffs. This team is still not fully established, and it's going to take another 2, maybe 3 years for this team to really get the ball rolling when it comes to, like, you know, not even just sneaking in for a playoff spot, but also really, you know, making the playoffs and doing damage if we play our cards right, which we'll see, you know. But if the Raiders are going to have a great year, like a year where they exceed expectations, they win 10 games, they make the playoffs and whatnot, these things need to happen. Okay. Um, we're gonna have to see production out of our offense. Like, our offense has to be really good, which I believe it will be. Ashton Jeanty needs to be everything that he swears that he is. Brock Bowers needs to repeat or even have an even better year than last year, which is very possible. I mean, Brock Bowers is scary. You know, Michael Mayer needs to start, you know, getting his shit together. Our offensive line needs to be able to hold up. The rookie receivers need to like step up right away. I'm not just talking about week 6, week 7. No, they need to step up right away. The defense needs to make plays. Patrick Graham is going to have to be able to make, you know, something out of nothing, right? And Pete Carroll's got to be able to, you know, inspire his team, make the proper in-game adjustments and whatnot, and just game plan and just all in all compete. And if we can do all those things, I do believe this team can, you know, be in the mix of the playoffs, maybe even sneak in, right? Um, and yeah, I'm gonna close it off with this. I'm gonna show you guys our schedule, and I'll be honest with my record prediction, and I'll even tell you like who's going to be the offensive player of the year, the defense player of the year, like who's going to be like not for the NFL but for the Raiders, like fuck the NFL. So week 1 we play the Patriots. I believe we're going to win this game. I believe we're going to beat the Patriots. I know we got to travel across country. We struggle in East Coast games, especially games that it's going to be 10 a.m. in the morning, West Coast time. But hear me out. The Patriots, they got a new coach as well, new coaching staff. It's a new team. Drake May is heading into year 2. I really do like Drake May. And I do think that they really improved in the offseason. I think they're going to be a team that's going to, really, cause problems as well. I just think the Raiders are more established than them right now. If we would have played them in week 8, week 9, I could solely see the Patriots winning that game. But since this is the first game of the year, because Pete and Gino already have chemistry together, because Brock Bowers is already this incredible player, and Ashton Jeanty, like there's a lot of high expectations when it comes to Jeanty. Like I think the Raiders are going to be able to win this game as long as we play mistake-free football, and Jeanty's able to have a good enough game, and the defense is able to get after Drake May, right? Because that's the thing. Even though the Patriots drafted Will Campbell, that Patriots offensive line is still going to have problems, and I still think they're going to have problems, heading into this season. And plus, like the Raiders are going to be super motivated because a lot of the players that were there from 2022, 2023 are going to be facing a familiar foe with Josh McDaniels. So the Raiders are going to definitely be motivated to win this game. So I got the Raiders winning that game. Week 2, we play the Chargers. I got us beating the Chargers. The Chargers really didn't do much in the offseason, and now they're without Rashawn Slater for the season. They're already having injuries. Like I said from before, when it comes to the Chargers, man, they're always going to be that team that they're great one year and then shit the next year. No, that I'm not saying the Chargers are for sure going to be shit, but I just wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. So I got the Raiders winning that game. I do. And plus it's in Vegas, Pete Carroll's home debut, Monday Night Football. He's going to want to get this game over Jim Harbaugh. I got the Raiders winning that game. I do. Week 3, we play the Commanders. I say that's a loss. Even if Terry McLaurin does not play this game, we got to, once again, travel cross country. Jaden Daniels, right? The Washington Commanders, they got a lot of high expectations this year. They're trying to replicate what they did last year, right? And I don't even remember the last time we beat the Redskins or Commanders or whatever they're called. So even if we're heading in this game like 2-0, like I still think we're probably going to lose this one. So I got the Commanders there. Week 4, playing against the Bears. I got us losing this game. I do think the Bears are going to be that team this year. I know a lot of people are going to be in the boat of won't believe till I see it, and I'm kind of in that boat as well. But I'll tell you what, man, Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, something's got to give in Chicago at some point. When it comes to having the right head coach and QB com, and I do think this time that they might have gotten it right. Like I am a big Ben Johnson guy. Caleb Williams, I do think is going to be a really good quarterback. They improved on the offensive line. They have a solid defense. They got good enough weapons. I got the Bears winning that one. It will be competitive. I do think the Raiders can win that game. I actually like the Raiders' chances a lot more than the Commanders, obviously. And it is in Vegas too, but I got the Bears winning that game. Week 5 against the Colts, I got the Raiders winning that game. Richardson, Jones, it doesn't matter. The Colts are mid. Okay, the Colts are mid. And I got the Raiders winning that game. Week 6, Tennessee Titans, same thing. Unless Cameron Ward has a master class, I got the Raiders winning that game. Week 7, Kansas City Chiefs. Fortunately, I'm going to have to say we take an L for that one. It's the Chiefs. Bye week 8, then week 9, we play the Jaguars at the Raiders. This game could go either way, but it is in Vegas. And, this is a big year for the Jaguars, big year for Trevor Lawrence, right? But, let's call it for what it is right now with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is average. You know what I mean? And yes, they got Travis Hunter. Yes, they got Brian Thomas. But you're going up against a team with a guy like Liam Cohen, who is in year 1. We don't know how Liam Cohen's going to be as a head coach. He looks promising. I do think that, maybe, the Jaguars could be one of the more surprise teams. I do think this game's going to be competitive, but in the end, I think it's going to come down to coaching. And obviously, I'm taking Pete Carroll over Liam Cohen. Yeah, I'm still taking a 73-year-old Pete Carroll over Liam Cohen, right? When it comes to because I think it's going to be a coaching battle, and I think Pete Carroll wins in that department. Week 10, Denver Broncos in Denver. I'll say the Broncos win that one. The Broncos are going to be a good team. The Broncos, they're going to be a solid team. I just don't like the fact that everybody's saying that they're going to be this contender or whatnot. I don't believe that. The Broncos will be a good team. I do think they'll be as good as they were last year. And what happened last year? They made the playoffs. They won 10 games, and they ended up, going 1-0. Let's just call it for what it is. In the 2 years that Sean Payton has been there, the Broncos can beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, but they struggle against the really good teams. And honestly, that could be a game the Raiders can definitely win. It's a divisional game, but I'll just say, we're going to lose this one to Denver, But yes, let's not crown Denver, especially that they, name me one team from last year and the year before that or actually, you know what? Because that's right. They did in 2023, did beat the Chiefs legit, and they did beat the Bills, but that was kind of flukish. But when it came to the games that really mattered, they folded. They did. And they almost ended up missing the playoffs last year too. I do like Bo Nix. I think, with Sean Payne calling plays, they have a good enough offense to be really good. Their defense is one of the better defenses in the league, but let's not act like this defense is unstoppable. This is definitely a defense that you can move the ball against. Okay, they do force a lot of turnovers and get sacks, but let's not pretend that you can't move the ball against this defense and score points. Shit, I watch football, bro. I've seen the Broncos in big games against the big boy teams, and their defense would struggle. Their team would struggle. The Broncos are probably a top 5 to 6 team in the AFC, but they do not fit in the category of a Bills, of a Ravens, of a fucking Chiefs. I don't even think they're better than the Bengals. Because if the Bengals have a decent defense, they're going to be a scary team. And I'm almost going to say, the Texans are still probably better, because their defense is really good tier. And I'm still taking CJ Stroud over Bo Nix. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons is holding out. We don't know what's going to happen with him. Even if he comes back, I wish we would have played the Cowboys earlier because that would have been perfect. Because even if Micah Parsons comes back, shit, dude. You wasted so much fucking time not paying the guy in camp and whatnot. But regardless, he's just one player. Enough about Micah Parsons. This is about the Dallas Cowboys. Whether Micah Parsons is playing or not, I like the Raiders' chances of winning this game, and I'm gonna take the Raiders to win this game. So I'll take the Raiders in this one. Cleveland Browns, same thing. I'll take the Raiders. Yeah, when you look at the schedule, it's actually a very easy schedule. I won't say it's easy, but it's an easy schedule. I just closed up the tab just now. Fucking bitch. I just had the Raiders schedule and now I lost it. Son of a bitch. Okay. And then we play the Chargers. I say we lose the Chargers. Broncos, I think we'll split with Denver. Um, Eagles, we lose that. Texans, we lose that. Giants, we beat the Giants. And then the Chiefs, it will be a very competitive game, but in the end, I just think that like the Chiefs are probably going to get us again, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. I really am, but I could see the Chiefs sweeping us again this year, unfortunately. Um, Look, I hate the Chiefs, as you guys know, but they're not going anywhere. I don't believe Patrick Mahomes is going to have another year where he looks whatever, right? I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a really good year next year. Okay. Especially, I do think Xavier Worthy is going to take the next step. Pacheco's healthy. They got Kareem Hunt. Travis Kelsey, like, this is probably going to be his last year, but I think he'll have a better year than what he did last year. The offensive line should be better. Their defense, as long as they have Spags, is good, and Chris Jones and Trent McDuffie and whatnot, and what's his name, George Karlaftis, and all those players. The Chiefs are going to be fine. It's the Chiefs, and plus, the NFL is still going to have their back no matter what. So yeah. So let's see here. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, 5-3, 5-4, 6-4, 7-4, 7-5, 8-5, 8-6, 8-7, 9-7, 9-8. I got the Raiders winning 9 games this year. Now, hopefully, I'm right. I would love, like, 9-8 would definitely be a successful season, regardless if they make playoffs or not. I like a winning season, given the shit that we went through last year. I'll take it. So yeah, just gonna leave. I'm gonna, read some of your guys' comments real quick. Jesus Christ, it's 1:30 in the morning. Shit, man, I really gotta get going soon because I have work in like fucking less than 8 hours, man. Shit. What up, Bondi? You got the new Madden? Not yet. Maybe on my next paycheck, I might. Oh, you're talking to Bondi. Man, I know you hate a white brother like me, but I miss you all, fam. Miss you, fam, all homo. Cade is a Raider. Oh, yeah, I saw the play in Washington. He spun around. Joe Shiesty link. It's 1 a.m. We ain't getting the link. Week 6, you're going to lose. Yeah, right. Unless Cam Warren has a masterclass, you're not going to beat us, buddy. Now, granted, like, here's the thing. If your offensive line can hold up, it's not impossible. I'm not going to lie. It wouldn't be impossible. But here's the thing, though, Billy. Your offensive line's still trash. And that nonchalant shit that Cam Ward be doing, that's not going to work in the NFL. I like the kid. I really do. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. But that ain't working, bro. That ain't working against Max Crosby. That ain't working against, our defensive line, against Patrick Graham, Max Crosby, and them boys. It's not. So, yeah. But anyways, guys, man, yeah, like, and before I go, like, how does our record shape up in the rest of the AFC? Like, I'll be honest. I'm gonna like before I go, I'm gonna like just be honest of like where I think the Raiders are gonna be ranked as among the AFC teams, right? So, but this is what I'll do before don't know what happened there, but back to what I was saying from before. All right, let's just go back, for a second here. When it comes to the AFC East, we're not better than Buffalo. I do think we'll be better than Miami this year. I don't know. Miami, in my opinion, they're just mid. Or at least there's a chance we could be better than Miami. I won't say for certain we'll be better than Miami, but there's a chance. We're definitely better than the Jets. Patriots, I think it's close, but I'm gonna slightly give the Raiders the edge on this one. AFC North, definitely not better than the Ravens. I don't believe we're better than the Bengals. The Steelers, it's a toss up. Definitely better than the Browns. Like the teams for certain are like the Browns, Jets. Love you, Billy. No offense. Titans. I'd say Colts. Right. And the teams that I think we can be better than are like teams like the Steelers. If the Bengals have a historically bad defense again, maybe the better than the Bengals, Jaguars, Chargers, right? You know what I mean? Dolphins. So it's like 9 teams right there. And there's 7 playoff spots. So do the math. So yeah, no, I think it is a possibility the Raiders could sneak into a wild card this year. It's just a lot of things need to go their way. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It should be a good season. I do believe the Raiders are going to be a competitive team, a team that again no one wants to play this year. So I'm looking forward to the season. Hopefully, I am right about this team. Hopefully, this team takes a step in the right direction and we can make some noise this year. Anyways, you guys, man, this has been your boy Ashray, and I am out. Peace, and as always, go Raiders.